Heading into Wolves on the weekend, we find ourselves in real need of 3 points, and I don't think any supporter would say otherwise. We've got to get 3 points on the board. Playing well at this point, as lovely as it is irrelevant. We can't afford to fall behind in the race for what I believe should be the top five. So we've got to get 3 points on the board. I mentioned in my last video just some sort of personal preference and thoughts on Newcastle's defensive unit and how there is decent depth now, decent squad depth that should allow us to rotate and actually play players more suited to the opposition, which is not really a luxury we had in the Champions League season 2 years ago. What I mean by that, and what I believe we should be doing heading into the Wolves game, is being brave. I think it would be nice to see Botman come in, and I love Dan Burn, but I think if rotation's going to happen, then against Wolves, a team rooted to the bottom of the table, a low possession team, low on confidence, we need to be playing our defenders that are going to be more comfortable playing out from the back, progressing the ball. Burn isn't that. Burn is a number of things, and he's been probably our best player this season again, but I'll come on to that. I just think that Burn ultimately is a player that we should be looking to play against Barcelona, and I don't think you should be playing Burn or Botman in both those games if we want to rotate the squad. So I'd love to see Botman come in at left centre-back, although I don't think that will necessarily happen. I would love to see that. And I think on the right side, you could go with Shah, or you could bring in Chow, but probably for the sake of some consistency, you probably play Shah. And I think it's absolutely integral that Lewis Hall comes in at left back. Tino has been absolutely fantastic, and I made a video separate to this on the issue we have in the fact that I believe Livramento is a better left back than a right back. But at some point, Hall has to come in, and Livramento was brought in as a right back. So given that Livramento's been playing for England, and again, I see Livramento as a player who will probably be best off playing left back against Barcelona to deal with Yamal on Wednesday. So I think Hall comes in at left back, and then at right back, you could play Trippier or Livramento. I don't know how we'll want to rest Livramento, but you could rest him. And I think, again, we can't forget that last season Livramento came out of the team when he was struggling a little bit against teams that sat a little bit deeper. So I feel like Trippier might be suited to start the Wolves game with Livramento potentially coming in for the Barcelona game, and Trippier potentially keeping his place. It's an interesting one, but I think that back four is the one where, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how rotates, but that's what I would do on this occasion. Pope obviously stays in goal, and probably will do until the Carabao Cup. The midfield, I think, is unchanged. Great chance here for Ramsey to, presuming his injury isn't, the knock he took against Leeds isn't a serious one, and I don't believe it is. This is the sort of game where you need Ramsey bursting forward. And even if Joelinton was fit, I would start Ramsey over Joelinton in this game. It's, again, Joelinton is a phenomenal midfielder, but he is better suited for games such as Barcelona at home on the Wednesday. So I really do think that the midfield lends itself to the Wolves game. The front three is also really, really interesting. Barnes obviously should start, I believe, on the left of the three. The right side, I think, is a toss-up, but I would go with Elanga, and then I'd start Wissa. Wissa is our new number 9. He might not have necessarily Premier League match fitness, but he's actually been training with the Brentford team, slightly more than you can say for Isak. He's played 2 games for his national team, scored in both games for Congo. He's absolutely itching and bursting to get going for us. He's our new number 9. He's been very, very, very confident in saying how he's been wanting to join the club. He clearly is delighted to be here. Throw him in. We've spent £55 million on this guy. He knows the Premier League. We need goals. Get him in. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to have Voltemada on the bench to potentially throw on. you'd love to be able to throw him on in a position of we're winning the game, we're comfortably winning the game, and he adds that sprinkle on top of it, rather than we're chasing the game or chasing a goal or chasing an equaliser or trying to get level, which is not really what you'd want, but needs must if it happens. But it would be nice to see him somewhat eased in, as much as a young striker comes in and can be in the new Howe system. So I think what I want, it doesn't always necessarily align with what I think Howe will do. I think changes are probably required, and I do like the idea of Botman coming in for this game and Burns starting the game against Barcelona. Crikey, that is Dan Burn. Dan Burn's going to want to play both, and he's going to expect to play both. And his form would suggest he deserves to play both. But I just think, in the interest of rotation, you've also got to consider that Botman needs minutes. And I think Botman's ceiling is obviously higher than Burns. And I think we need to get him going, and we need to get him back into the Premier League as quickly as possible. Looking at Wolves, so they play a 3-4-3. They've obviously played off Strand Larsen. We know a lot about him from the transfer window. He's a dangerous target man. He's caused us problems before. He's scored against us before. They will come to St James's Park and they will look to frustrate us, I would imagine. They'll look to be difficult for us to break them down. They had 41% possession in their last away game, which they lost against Bournemouth, and they created no chances, no big chances. We've got to blow these guys away. We've got to blow these guys away. Ultimately, we need the 3 points. That's the most important thing. But at home, we need to take some momentum into the Barcelona game. And even though we're only, 3 games into the season, we don't want to be playing catch-up and relying upon, what we did last season, which was string, 6-7 wins on the spin. We can't afford to do that, and especially with a European campaign, there's no guarantees that we're going to be able to develop that sort of momentum. But that's what I think we should do. I do think we'll win the game, and I think we'll win it fairly comfortably. It would be absolutely fantastic if we could get Wissa in the goals or Voltemada on for some minutes and assist or goals. I'll probably record a separate video on Voltemada and some initial observations and thoughts on his role, because I think as a fan base, we're going to need to be patient with him. He's not a goal scorer, if you will. He's made it very clear he's a chance creator more than anything else. Great opportunity for our forwards. By that I mean our wide forwards to score goals this season, for Bruno to get forward and contribute, because we're going to need it without Isak. But I think we win the game, and I'll probably, if I had to go with a score prediction, I think I'll go with a 2-0 win, and I fancy Wissy to get on the score sheet. Thank you so much for listening. If you have, cheers.